Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Black Millennial Wife. I'm Jet.
I am Avis. So, rolling right into our Black business highlight, I would like to tell you about 17th Watches. So, this is a Black owned, veteran owned, and operated watch company. You can find them on their Instagram page. It's 17th, like the number 17th, watches underscore. And they just have really nice timepieces. I have one of their timepieces that I let a cousin borrow, and I have not seen since, so I cannot show you all. But they're very high quality. They're not super expensive. They have men's timepieces and women's timepieces, so just check them out. They have a website as well. And if you're looking for like a gift or something, or you want something nice for yourself, it's definitely worth looking at. So check them out.
Awesome. Okay, so my Black business that I'm going to highlight, I'm so excited about this. So I love perfume. Trey and I love fragrances, the whole nine. Like we buy matching perfume sets and all kind of crazy stuff. You didn't know that, did you? Okay, so I recently discovered a Black owned fragrance line that is phenomenal. So, the best part about this fragrance line is number one, it's not sold in stores, but you do not have to commit off bat because what you can do is purchase samples and you can get all four of his samples in a box. So they come in the little, spray bottles that they might give you like at Dillard's or something. And so he has four different fragrances. The name of it is NRC Fragrance. So it's Nick Ricardo Collection. And that is his website as well. And they smell amazing. And they're for all genders, male or female. So you can cross, you can do whatever. You could pick which one you like for that fits your man more or fits you more. But I absolutely love all four fragrances. I'm so excited about this. As soon as we finish up these samples, I'm purchasing like all four of them. Well, when I finish my 6 months of no spending. But nonetheless, that's neither here nor there. Nick Ricardo Collection, check it out, get some samples, and invest in a Black business. Okay, so today's topic comes from a lot of experience. And we're going to start off with the real, and then we're going to get to what the Lord wants us to do. Because the idea of when you get married and you being in a relationship with somebody that you feel is, going to be your partner in life. And then you start to encounter situations and they don't do what you want them to do. Like they don't do what you feel they should be doing, and that gets tough. And I know that both of us have experienced that in the past and maybe yesterday. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. But it gets tough when you have to really figure out what you're supposed to do when he's not doing what you want him to do.
I think I have, like you said, a lot of experience with this. Um, and time has taught me in situations where Philip is not doing what I want him to do or expect of him, it can help if I take a step back and I assess what it is I want him to be doing. Like, is it coming from a good place? Is it coming from some deep rooted piece in me? Is it coming from something that's a worldly aspect of my personality? Like, what is it? Because if it's something that is rooted in sin or rooted in selfishness, rooted in like whatever, then I need to back up off of it, right? Like trying to force it. Do I back up off of it? I don't know. Maybe that's a question that I need to ask Philip. But it's in the past I think I have definitely forced I've forced it. I've picked at it so much and talked about it so much. I think it gets to a point with Philip where he just gives up. Like,
Mhm.
It's not even worth the fight no more because it's never gonna die unless I do what she want me to do. And so now we got married, right? Everybody knows this. We were young, we were 24. And so it was easier to do that then than it is now because Philip is not that same 24-year-old. Like he is more of a man and confident in
Yeah.
himself, right? So I can't beat him down like I used to get him to do what I want him to do. And right. And I shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. That's not how you want.
That's a good phrase. Because I mean that's really what it was. I would do the same thing. I would just beat him down to where he would just give in, and that's not healthy. I'm not telling anybody to do that. But in all honesty, that's what it was. It was literally just beating a dead horse until, I mean, anybody would just be like, okay, whatever. I'm okay, I'll do it, I won't do it, whatever, because you won't shut up about it. And honestly, that doesn't lead to actual change or growth in your spouse because they're still going to revert to whatever it was. They just want to shut you up in the moment. And so they do or comply to whatever it is.
I agree. But it's very hard. It's hard, especially as two separate individuals with two very different in some ways ideas of what a marriage is supposed to look like, what your spouse is supposed to do, their duties to you, their duties to, your family. Like we just came into it with different expectations of what our marriage was supposed to look like. And that caused us to not be on the same page a lot of times, and for me to not do what he wants me to do, and for him to not do what I want him to do. Now,
Yeah.
fast forward, we've been in this thing a few years, right? I, I don't beat him down anymore. I don't necessarily know if what I do is the right thing to do, but I don't beat him down anymore. Really, my coping mechanism for that, because that's what it feels like. It feels like I just need to cope. Is I just like like everything turns off. Like all emotion, all emotional attachment to whatever that thing is shuts off. Like I can't invest in this thing anymore if like I'm not able to get something that I need out of it. Do you get what I'm saying?
So, but okay, my question would be, is that healthy? Is that the healthy alternative to the beatdown?
Uh, healthy for who? Like, it,
Anybody? I don't know.
it's self preservation. The way I look at it is self preservation. I can't. Okay, the answer to your question is no. It's not
Okay,
healthy.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving me that. Because I was like, this is not going down a healthy road.
It's not healthy. It's not healthy. But in my growth in my walk with Christ, although I do shut down, I shut down and I turn towards God. Like
Okay.
it's like I can't deal with you no more. So I'm just gonna stop and I'm gonna go to the Lord. Like on our last, we do Zoom calls with like our line sisters every week. Like Philip had like pissed me off, okay? And I was on Zoom just talking to my line sisters, and I was like writing scriptures, and they was talking to me about how hard I was writing because they was like laughing at me, but like I had to write these scriptures down on a sticky note. They still by my nightstand right now. If I walked into my bedroom and showed y'all, they'd be there. But like I can't focus on you because you're not gonna give me what I want. Maybe it's not what I'm supposed to want. I don't know how else to communicate this situation to you. You don't know how else to communicate the situation to me. So I'm just gonna stop and I'm just gonna go to the Lord.
Okay. So, okay, I'm glad we took that. We took that a different way than I was thinking it was going. Yes, and I do agree with you. That is what I had to learn, was that I cannot change my husband. Like there's nothing in this world that I could do to change him. And I read the book The Power of a Praying Wife. And that was a life changing. And it basically, to sum up the whole book, was if you want something to change in your husband, you need to pray about it, because the Lord is the only person who can change your husband, or your spouse. Now that one something you said led me to the question, did you have a conversation with Philip in regards to what you wanted your marriage to look like prior to y'all getting married?
I don't think so. Nothing outside of the prompts that we received in pre-marriage counseling. Like, we talked about, okay, finances. We talked about, okay, what does a day look like when it comes to chores and taking care of the house? Like, we talked about those things, but I don't think it was like this all encompassing, let's sit down and talk through like what my ideal marriage is and what your ideal marriage is. We didn't do that. Did y'all?
I think we did. I think in different circumstances, we had conversations, and I think it stemmed from my initiating the conversation that I didn't want our marriage to look like his parents' marriage. Like I remember specifically talking about that, which would lead to like conversations here and there, because in his mind, he believed that his parents' marriage was perfect because that's what his parents put out there. They were never had an argument in front of the kids. I mean, Trey did not start learning about issues that had come up in their marriage literally until we got married. And because of my upbringing being so different from Trey's, I knew y'all can't fool me. I know y'all have had problems. Like, don't miss me with that. I just know what y'all put on. And I get it, okay? That may be your coping mechanism, to put on like you have a perfect marriage, whatever, to each their own. But he didn't start realizing that until we got married, but I already knew it. And so I needed him to know that I didn't want our marriage to look anything like his parents' marriage. Not to say that in a bad or negative way, but I want us to build what we are going to build. And so we would talk about different things like that. I mean, like even conversations of like, from the beginning, I told him I didn't want to stay at the church that we grew up at. Number one, because his whole family is there. Number two, I wanted us to go somewhere and start fresh and new together, build our own relationships as a married couple, not as Trey growing up or Jet growing up and then coming together. And I wanted us to start fresh. So yeah, we had conversations about what I wanted our marriage to look like. Now, of course, everything doesn't just like pan out and it become perfect, but at least there was no surprise in some of the hopes that I had for our relationship, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. I don't know if I don't think if we did have that conversation, it would have made any difference, to be honest with you. Like, we were so blind in what marriage is. Like, what would I have said at 24? Oh, I want you to buy me flowers every week, or I want you to like, like that stuff that's not, it's things that I may think are important, but it's not really what makes a marriage last and make it strong and thrive. And so, yeah, no, we didn't talk about that.
And I think it could be beneficial for anyone out there who may be in a serious relationship and dating to have that conversation. And I myself nor Avis can say like, these are the things you should talk about, because I don't think that us giving our opinion on what somebody should talk about is the solution, or is the I don't know, the idea that we're trying to convey, because nobody knows in your own heart what's important to you and what you want your marriage to look like. You know what I mean? But I think that any idea that you have that is conducive, that is helpful, that is godlike, that is all of those things, I think is important to have that conversation, especially if we are talking to millennials who are in the phase of getting ready to be married, because you are more established. You're not 19, 20 years old looking to get married. You're in a different age bracket, so you have different ideas on what you would like your marriage to look like.
I think the thing that I take out of what you just said is if it is in alignment with what the Lord wants marriage to look like. And for you to know if something is in alignment with what God wants marriage to look like, you have to know what God says marriage is. And so I think that's where like we probably fell short in the pre-marriage phase. Like we really weren't focused on what God said marriage was. We were focused on what Avis and Philip said marriage was. And something that I think helped ground us in, understanding that that was the wrong thought process was pre-marriage counseling. And of course, we took our time and like did the prompts and did the workbooks and all the other kind of stuff. But the reality of it was we were focused on the wedding, planning a wedding. Like we weren't really we weren't focusing on the things that were going to make us last. We were
Mhm.
focused on like what it was going to look like to other people,
Yep.
what the wedding was, the experience was going to look like for other people and stuff like that. And so I would say, even if you are not engaged, not in a relationship, like making sure you have a solid understanding of what God says marriage is supposed to be will help you maybe have that conversation with whoever in your life may come along and you feel like that's the right person to have that conversation with. Because it's not beneficial if you have that conversation and you just going off of what you think.
Right. Absolutely. I do agree with that 100%. And I could say the same for Trey and I. Um, while God was at the center, it wasn't necessarily like the whole conversation. You know what I mean? But I think that is very important, especially being in this phase of life. You have no excuse. You have no excuse to not know what God says marriage should look like. Because we should be aspiring to be at a level of understanding higher than what we would have been at 20, 21, 22 years old. So I think that's very true. And studying is important because you can't expect to have a God-fearing man and spiritual leader, but you're not doing your part. So I think whatever it is you're looking for, you need to be as well. So if you're looking for somebody who's in the word and who's studying, who can lead you spiritually, you need to be studying. You need to be learning what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to look like as a wife, because we have our commandments just as men have their commandments. Absolutely.
And if you don't do it, the Lord gonna put you in a situation where you gonna need to do it. Just sat there and I filled out them little sticky notes and stuck them on my nightstand. I wasn't taking the time at that point, right, which was a couple weeks ago. I had not made reading my Bible a priority that week. Like being a good wife, I had made that, and the Lord came and sat me down real fast.
He will sat you down. Okay. Listen, we won't even say that that's not when you are studying, that those things won't happen. Because even when you are, and even when you feel like you're doing everything right and you're studying and you're putting God first, still those tests and those trials will come. Like there's no if, ands, and buts about it. Like that's a part of life. This is not a Disney fairy tale. This is real life. And trials are gonna come. So you just the goal is to be prepared for when they do come and to enjoy the beautiful moments when they're not here.
And really, if you missed it, if your husband is doing things that you don't want him to do, or he's not doing what you want him to do, you gotta go to God. Don't beat him over the head, whatever. Now, I will say, if it is a situation where the decisions that he is making is putting you or your children or your family in danger, or something like that, then you may want to think about a temporary exit strategy, right? Because you don't need to be putting yourself in in danger. And the Lord doesn't call for you to put yourself in danger for any husband, right? But if it's not a situation like that, you got to be quiet and you got to talk to the Lord. And that is so difficult.
Everything don't need to be said. I told you that's my life philosophy, and I'm still working on it every single day. But everything does not need to be said. That is something that I have truly tried to ingrain in my heart. And I will also preface that by saying I do express how I feel about a situation, but once I've said it, then I leave it alone. So unless it's something that's, frivolous. What? Why are you shaking your head at me?
No, it's not. I'm not shaking my head at you.
Oh, I thought you was about to call me a lie, girl.
No, I'm shaking my head at my situation because I hear you, and I've tried to adopt that, just saying it once and letting it go. But it's hard to say something once when the person that you said it to don't understand what you said. So once ain't gonna cut it. I got to say it again, and I got to figure
Avis.
out a different way to say it. And I don't know how many times. And I really need to stop saying this to Philly because it's not the feminine energy that he would like me to display. But I will say, like, I don't know how to speak Spanish. If I could sign language it to you, I would. Like, all I know are my words.
Oh God. Avis. Listen,
I,
sis.
I be so frustrated.
Listen. Number one, let's erase I don't speak Spanish from our repertoire. Okay. Second, he may not understand it, but it's not your job to try to force him to understand it.
Hard. That's hard.
Yes, you say what you need to say and you pray that he receives it and that he understands it, because you saying it multiple times or in Spanish or in French or signing it still is not going to allow him to receive that information. Who's the only person that can open up his heart, Avis?
I know.
See, y'all see what she be doing to me when I be speaking truth? She be getting real quiet and sinking her head into her shoulders.
That's how I listen. Okay. I'm listening to you. I hear you. But it's so, in no other instance in my life would that be the case. And it's so hard to come up out of that. In my employment, if I am giving a directive, and the people, I won't even say employees, I'll say my colleagues. If my colleagues don't understand what I'm saying, I have to find a way to communicate that in a way that they get, right? If
Mhm.
I am talking to somebody that is, I don't even know, in no other instance does saying it once and letting it go work for me in my life. And so to all of a sudden have to adopt this, like, more passive, and not passive in a bad way, but more passive, like, I'm gonna tell y'all what it feels to me. Meek. It feels meek.
And
It,
that is actually a adjective that's used in the Bible,
okay, well, I
and
don't really care.
it's not used in a negative way. To be meek in spirit is, yes,
I,
that I mean,
I'm not winning no meek awards, and I have never. I, that's just not my personality. And so, but I'm just saying, like, it's just a struggle for me, and I think Philip knows that it's a struggle for me, but he has said, now I be giving y'all examples of like the smart stuff I be saying to him, but he got a sharp tongue too, and he will tell me you talking too much. When he tell me that, it like my I be so mad. I be so pissed off. Like, who are you talking to telling me I'm talking too much? Like, I already go there. But I understand. Sometimes I do talk too much. And sometimes I don't have to give it all that I give. But in no other instance of my life is that effective. Does that give me the things, the result that I want? Right. And so it's just a struggle.
It is. It's different, but marriage is unlike any other relationship in your life as well. So, I mean, to me, that kind of goes hand in hand. It's the most different relationship you've ever experienced. So, you have to do different things. But you've got, and you realize that when we talk a lot, all they do is tune us out. So, it's not like he's getting the information anyway. They're such simple creatures where it's just like when we keep talking, they tune us out.
I feel you, but in the heat of the moment, in that situation, oh, you
You're,
tune me
you're
out. So that means I need to talk louder. That means I need to like,
where does that work at? I'm gonna talk louder.
like I need to like, and I get more aggressive in my communication style.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's the center in me. Okay, I'm gonna be real, but that's just it's just
We're,
hard.
we're gonna pray that you win a Meek Award soon. Uh, that you continue to work on this feminine energy that we have discussed. Oh, I guess that means you haven't been working on it. That's fine. But nonetheless, all of this boils down to the takeaway that you cannot beat something into somebody. If he is not doing what you want him to do, um, all you can do is take that to the Lord. If he's not hearing you, if he's not listening to you, if he's not receiving what you're saying, you can't force him to do so. You can't talk louder. You can't sign it. You can't speak in Spanish to do it. All you can do is pray.
Okay.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up with how we won at adulting this week. We all want to grow up. We all want to be grown. And then we over here dealing with situations like this. And it's just like, why? So we want to celebrate when we're doing the best that we can as adults. And so I would like to share how I won at adulting this week. Um, this one is, it almost made me cry when it happened. So let me make a long story short. It's really a short story long. But I was cleaning, I've been cleaning my house, like literally going through every piece of paper in my house, shredding stuff. And we have one file box that has like all of our important papers in it. I get to the end of the box. Trey walks in from the gym, and I was like, what's this? After 7 years, I found my husband's wedding ring.
Oh, snap.
Yep, the wedding ring that I gave to him on our wedding day. He lost it about 7 years ago, and I found it in the bottom back corner of that file box.
Huh.
It was the weirdest thing because he thought that he lost it at Walmart. The ring was a little oversized and he wouldn't not wear it because we were going to get it sized, but he just still kept wearing it. And he thought he lost it at Walmart. That was what we always thought when he went grocery shopping, that he lost it. And we have absolute, because remind you, it's in a file box. What nigga is filing papers? Not one I know, not the one in my household. So we have no idea how it got in that box. And I found it. I literally like almost cried.
Huh. Well, do it fit now?
Nope. Which means, I mean, that's kind of a good thing. At least you're not fat. But he's keeping the one he's been wearing on. And we're gonna take it to go get sized so we don't have to go through that debacle again.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. So
Okay. I won at adulting by getting through this winter storm. Is how I won at adulting. So, Jet and I both live in Texas. That's not too specific, yeah.
no.
We both live in Texas, and so If you have ears and eyes, you probably know that Texas got hit hard this last week. By the time this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks, with this crazy winter storm. And so, Philip and I prepared. When the pandemic started, I had prepared for emergencies. So I bought a buttload of water, I got emergency stuff. And so Philip laughed at me, but we had everything that we needed in response to this situation, this storm. And so Philip did go out, and it took him 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours to find firewood. But other than that, we were good. We did experience power outage. We did experience like no water for a few days, but we made it through. And the Lord has been so, let me just tell y'all about Jesus, because my house is old. Okay. We like older homes. So we intentionally buy like not new builds and stuff like that. And I would not have been surprised whatsoever if a couple pipes bursted. Like I would have expected it. But God got us through this with no need for a repair. And when I tell you I was scared going on Facebook and getting pictures, text messages and stuff, people's ceilings caving in because a pipe didn't bust, I was terrified. But the Lord saw fit to get us through this storm with no need for any repairs. We were all in good health during the entire time. We didn't go nowhere, and we just stayed here as a family. And so I'm very, very thankful, and I'm audibly saying thank you, Jesus, for that. But we made it through with no problems. And so if you made it through with or without problems, let me just say thank you. I'm glad that you did. I'm thanking God that you did. And if you need prayers in that department, let us know. We'll pray for you because we know how it was.
Absolutely. And my little fun tip that I'll share with everybody, I shared it with you guys. We did not experience any outages. We didn't go without water, without power, nothing for not even a millisecond. And let me tell you why. Number one, because God is the best, first and foremost, because anything can happen. But from a worldly perspective, we live maybe about 60, 70 yards from a fire station. And what's never gonna lose power? A fire station. So we're on the same grid. So that's why my neighborhood and the surrounding areas never went without power. So God is still great. He got us through because anything could happen. But yeah, I did learn that fun fact. So we're grateful. We're happy. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Black Millennial Wife.
So don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you do when your spouse doesn't do what you want them to do. Put a scripture in there for encouragement too. I will be reading them. So thank you. All right, y'all.
Bye.